Thank you so much for having us this morning. As Sean introduced, I'm Sean's dad, Chris McGowan. As you can tell from my uniform, obviously, I'm still a soldier in the United States Army. This is my dad, Buzz, and he was a soldier in the United States Army back from 1967 to 1970. And so today what we want to do is just talk a little bit about our experiences, and then also maybe a little bit more broadly about the military, about why people serve in the military, some of the opportunities, and then we'll just have some fun maybe with some trivia, some questions and answers, and hopefully we'll all learn a little bit today. And I know that you've had several speakers come in and talk about the military, and so it's just kind of building on the theme. And really like to thank your teachers also for giving us this opportunity to come and share some time this morning. As I said, both myself and my dad have served in the military, but this is also a little bit about embarrassing Sean today. So we're not the only ones, and I think similar as you have the wall outside that has all the students, right? Who else in here has family members who have served in the military? See that? That's incredible. Thank you. You can put your hands down. Thank you. That's not typical. That's not typical for our country in general. And so this is a pretty unique place in the country where we have so much service and so much patriotism that lends itself to serving in the military. And the board outside captures some of that. And so I want to do the same for our family, because it's really not just about my service or my dad's. It's really been a legacy of service in the military. How do I go back? Sorry. So at least the oldest that we can trace is Sean's great-great-grandfather, Frank Fritz, and he served in World War I in the United States Army. And that's a picture of him on the far left. And then my two grandparents, my mom's dad, Alex West, who came over from Scotland when he was 19 years old. He enlisted in the Army, and he was in World War II. And then my grandfather, my dad's father, also Bernard McGowan, he served a career in the United States Navy. So he served over 20 years in the United States Navy, and part of that service also included World War II. And that's a picture of him down below. Up top, this is my wife's father and Sean's grandfather, Ron Kistner. And he served in the United States Navy from 1958 to 1962. So we're not parochial. It's not just the Army, right? We have Army and Navy. And you'll see a little bit later we have some Air Force going on too. And then who can guess who this is down below on the far right-hand side? Go ahead, Morgan. His name is Bernard and it says Sean's grandfather. Who is that? Go ahead, right here. That's right. That's him, right? That's my dad, Bernard McGowan. He served in the United States Army from 1967 to 1970, and the year of that service was in Vietnam. And as you'll see later, he also served in the Army National Guard for 10 years as well. So it's a family tradition that goes back a while. But it continues today. And on the far left, my brother-in-law, Pat, he just retired from the Navy. And he served in the Navy. First, he enlisted, so he volunteered to serve as an enlisted sailor in the Navy, and he did that for 12 years. And then he went to school and became a cryptologist in the Navy, which is kind of, you look at kind of figuring out codes, right? And figuring out how a lot of times when people talk in the military, it's all secret, right? And so you don't talk over the radio. You have to send messages, encrypted messages, so no one can read them. And so what my brother-in-law's Pat's job is to kind of figure out and try to intercept that and try to understand what's going on. So kind of some of that spy stuff that goes on in the military at times. So he did that, and he just retired from the military, from the Navy just last year. And up top, this is Sean's mom, Shara, and you'll see her at some point, around. And so Shara also served in the military from 1993 to 1998. And then below, that's me. Still trying to figure out what I want to do when I grow up, so I'm still a soldier in the United States Army, and I'm having a ball doing it. And then on the far right is Luke's older brother, who actually graduated from Baser High School last year, and right now he's a cadet at the United States Air Force Academy. So we have some Army, we have some Navy, and we have some Air Force. What are the other two branches of service that we don't have represented in our family, at least not yet? Go ahead. Coast Guard. That's right. And then over here? It's the Marines. That's right. Awesome. You guys are great. So as I said, it's a family tradition from World War I for sure until now. Why do you think that is? Why? Go ahead in the back, bud. Is that Chase? Is that right? Chance. I'm sorry.
Because your family was probably a family that just wanted to help out everybody.
Okay.
It was just a really loyal family.
Okay. Well, yeah. What else? Go ahead, Jessica.
A family tradition.
Yeah. And why do we have? Why do you typically see traditions carry on from one to another? Go ahead, bud.
Keep going.
Keep it going. Yeah. Yeah. Like when I was a kid, when I was your age, and my dad was in the Army National Guard, and he'd come home in his uniform and he looked like this. What do you think that made me feel? In the back. Go ahead. Yeah. It made me want to kind of be like my dad. It made me proud, right? When I thought of my dad and his service in Vietnam and kind of putting himself in harm's way, again, it made me respect that and made me proud, right? So, and we see that a lot of times. You know, if you have maybe family members who are farmers, right? And that a lot of times we see that pass from one to another because working the ground, you know, and growing things to help other people, right? And contributing to the health of our economy, that's something that people are proud of, and it's passed down from generation to generation. And that's very true about the military just the same, okay? And we'll talk a little about other reasons why people serve in the military, okay? All right, so just a little bit about my specific experience in the Army, and then I'll pass it over to my dad to talk about his. So I joined the Army. I actually went to the United States Military Academy at West Point, New York in 1989, and I graduated from there in 1993. Does anyone have any familiarity with the military academies in general? And do they know how many there are? So anyone besides Sean? Okay, so I went to the military academy, right? And that's in West Point, New York. And typically that produces officers to serve in the United States Army. My son, Luke, is at the United States Air Force Academy. Anyone know where that is? Go ahead, Caden. Colorado Springs, right? So it's about 8 hours, 9 hours west of here in Colorado. And that produces officers to serve in the United States Air Force. What other service academies do we have, you think? Say again? Well, actually, there's not a service academy specific for the Marines, but believe it or not, the Marines are actually a part of the Department of the Navy. And so people who want to go and become an officer and serve in the United States Marine Corps, they typically, not always, but go to the United States Naval Academy, and then they select to graduate and go in the Marines versus the Navy. And then there's actually two others. Who said the Coast Guard before? That was a great answer. You know what? So there's a Coast Guard Academy as well, all right? And that's in Connecticut, New London, Connecticut. And then finally, anyone know the other one, which is kind of a little bit different, but similar? It's Merchant Marine. There's a Merchant Marine Academy. So, you know, we have the big barges and ships that transport goods all across the world. Well, there's an academy that produces the sailors and the captains to navigate those vessels. And that's called the Merchant Marine Academy. So we have the Military Academy at West Point, which is where my wife and I went, the Air Force Academy, the Naval Academy, and the Coast Guard Academy. I say that because they are actually just like, you know, when you go to college, you can go to K-State or KU or Missouri or name another one. Where do you want to go to school? Iowa. Okay, go Hawkeyes.
I don't know yet.
Okay, that's good. You got to keep your options open. Go ahead. Mid-America. Uh-huh. Wichita State, right? Go Shockers. So, go ahead, Aiden. Oklahoma State, okay. Just like all those universities, go ahead. Florida State, all right. In the back? California. Okay, and there's lots of schools in California, right? Awesome schools. So just very similar to every one of those universities, all these academies are 4-year colleges where you graduate with a bachelor's degree. And one of the really cool things about it, it's paid for. So it's paid for, and so it's free. But because of that opportunity that you get, you owe the military, whatever branch of service, 5 years, a minimum of 5 years of service afterwards. But that's still pretty cool, right? Because college costs a lot of money, yeah? Right? College costs a lot of money. But if you're willing to serve in the military and you get good grades, and you do things with your community in terms of leadership and service, and keep yourself relatively fit, you can go to a military academy for free and get a great education. So that's my paid political announcement for the military academies. Okay, but so I went there, graduated in 1993. I was stationed. My wife and I actually were stationed for 3 years in Germany. After that, okay, we were in Germany, and that's where our son Luke was born. While I was in Germany, I went to Bosnia-Herzegovina for a year, and that was between 1995 and 1996. In 1996, I was in Bosnia for about a year. And then I came back to the United States and went to Fort Leonard Wood. Anyone know where Fort Leonard Wood is? Has anyone heard of that? It's not too far. Go ahead. It's in Missouri, right? It's in south central Missouri. And I've actually been stationed there 3 times. And the reason that is because my specialty in the Army is I'm an engineer, and that's where the home of the engineers is at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. So I go there a lot. After Fort Leonard Wood, I went back up to, got to go to school. The military paid for me to go to school, and I went to school in New York City. Believe it or not, go ahead.
You went to West Point Academy.
I went up to West Point to teach. So I graduated there as a student, and then later on in 2002 to 2005, I taught at the United States Military Academy as well. But before doing that, I got to go to a civilian college, still in the Army, for school. And a very memorable day was September 11th, 2001. What happened on that day? Go ahead in the back, bud.
The police judges we both had, and they both go.
That's right. That's right. And so on September 11th, 2001, I was on a train going into New York City when that happened. And then actually the next day was in New York City, so September 12th, was in New York City, attending classes, and spent obviously the next year and a half in New York City as the city kind of recovered from that. And an amazing place to be at an incredibly important time in our history. Okay. And then I went to teach at West Point, as Caden said, and then I came to Fort Leavenworth, and that was my first time coming to Kansas. And even though I never been to Kansas before, it didn't take me long to figure out that I was going to be a much bigger Chiefs fan than I would a Jets or Giants fan. Good decision, right? Okay. And what baseball team do you think I root for now? Of course. Who doesn't, right? I mean, the whole country's rooting for the Royals. Why wouldn't you, right? Okay. So came to Kansas for the first time, and then I went to Korea. Okay. Anyone, is there not a map? There's not a map, right? Anyone know whereabout is Korea? Go ahead.
I want to say on the
What continent?
Asia.
Okay. Is it the west of Asia or? Go ahead.
Russia.
Close. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The east part of Asia.
Okay. Yeah. Right. It's a little peninsula just south of China, on the eastern side of Asia, right? And so I was stationed there for a year, and then after that, I went back to Fort Leonard Wood and then spent a year in Iraq. Okay, and so I was in Iraq in 2008 to 2009, and then got stationed in Washington D.C. All right. What's significant about? Anyone know where is the headquarters of the Army and the headquarters of all of our defense, Department of Defense? Where is that at? Go ahead.
Washington.
Yeah, and do you know what is the building called where we put all those headquarters together? Go ahead, bud, right here. The Pentagon, right? So I was stationed at the Pentagon for 2 years, and then after that, went back to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and that was my last kind of bigger job as a commander for the 5th Engineer Battalion, and I did that for 2 years. And within the Engineer Battalion, we had 3 units that kind of clear obstacles from the battlefield, and so they go and we clear explosive devices and things like that. We also had a company that puts in bridges, okay, so it was able to bridge waterways. And then we also had, which was really kind of my favorite, is we had a company with 70 dogs, okay, so explosive hazard dogs. And so you know how you see dogs that sniff out and find, bad things? Well, we have 70 dogs that are trained not to find pheasants or quail or any of that, but they use their nose to find explosive devices. And so then they deploy with their soldier, with their handler, into Iraq and Afghanistan to help keep soldiers safe. And there is no better way to find hazardous explosive devices than dogs. Does anyone have a Labrador Retriever or a Springer Spaniel or any of those type of dogs? Okay, those are the type of dogs that we actually use because their noses are amazing. And so that was my last job before coming back up here to Fort Leavenworth, and I've been here for about a year and a half. Okay, so I've talked too long. I'm going to pass it over to my dad, and he's going to cover some of his experiences, and then we'll have a little fun with some questions and answers, or some trivia and some facts. Okay, Dad, all you. Put this around your neck.
Oh, what's that do? Oh, okay. Okay. I started off at Fort Knox, Kentucky. That's where I took my basic training. And then I went to 2 schools after that. One was wheeled vehicle mechanic, and then the second one was the tracked vehicle mechanic. That's vehicles that have tracks rather than wheels. And from then I went to a junior NCO academy, and then I went to Vietnam. I served with, excuse me, I served with the 11th Armored Cavalry. It was an armored unit. We had 3 squadrons. There were 5 armored cavalry troops. There was each squadron had like a headquarters troop, and we also had an air wing of helicopters with us. And we worked from the Mekong Delta all the way to the Cambodian border. And for the year that I was there, I was in my base camp for a total of 3 weeks. So we spent a lot of time moving around. And we worked with the 9th Infantry Division, the 25th Infantry Division, and the 1st Infantry Division, supplying them with some of the weapons that they didn't have that we did. And it was an exciting time for a young man, and you really learned how to work together, because if you don't work together, nothing's going to get done, you know. So after I got back from Vietnam, I went to Fort Sill, Oklahoma. I only stayed there for 4 months, and then they sent me to Germany. And in Germany, I was stationed with a medical team. It was a field hospital, and because I was a mechanic, and everybody has trucks and Jeeps and all of that stuff, and I could fix them. And we would go out in the field, set up a hospital, and then tear it down and go back to the base. But Germany was a nice country to visit, and I got to go back there when Chris was stationed there. Then I went into I got out of the Army in 1970, and then I joined the National Guard in 1974, and I took over a 81 millimeter mortar platoon with an attached tow missile section. We had 3 rocket launchers. They're actually wire guided, and so I had the 3 tracks with the mortars, and then 3 of the tows. I did that for 10 years, and okay, the last question.
Ask the question there.
All right. What is Gramps holding on top photo?
So if you look up here, there's something that Gramps has when he's in Vietnam in 1967. He's holding up something up to his chest.
What is it?
If you get it right, you can go pick something from the table over there. All right, I'm going to ask right here first.
A bag.
A bag? No.
A bottle?
Nope.
Nope. I'll give you one hint. It's alive.
Claymore?
Nope.
Claymore, I'll kill you.
Right, what's that?
An animal.
It's an animal.
It's an animal. You're right. Get closer.
Yep.
Labradoodle?
We don't have them running around the woods in Kansas. I will tell you that. Jackson. The groundhog. No.
No. Think.
Grace. Go ahead. Okay. Get
No.
closer, Brittany. Okay. No. Go ahead, right here, bud. A ferret. No.
Okay. I'll give you one easy.
All right. So Grant had a pet monkey when he was in Vietnam, which is kind of cool, and they called him Charlie, right?
Charlie. Yes, he was Charlie.
He had a pet monkey.
And
I'm going to pass this around, and you're welcome to just. So this is an Army combat helmet, ACH, and so this is what obviously we wear when we're out on exercise or deployed to keep us safe. And it's a Kevlar helmet. It's actually lighter than you'd think. You're welcome to put it on and kind of just see what it feels like. And this little contraption up here is when you are operating at night and you have night vision goggles. The night vision goggles just click on to the front of the helmet. So I'm going to pass this around. Welcome to just kind of check it out. All right, this is going to be a bit more participatory. This next bit here.
oh.
Actually, I can just do it.
Oh.
You gotta use the head.
Oh, no, I did something wrong.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, this here is this was the kind of track vehicle that we rode around in, and it was called an ACAV, an Armored Cavalry Assault Vehicle. Its nomenclature was an M113, but you had a 50 caliber machine gun on the front, and then on the sides there were two M60 machine guns.
It's interesting. So my dad had those type of vehicles when he was in Vietnam in 1967, and when I joined the Army in 1993 and went to Germany, those are the same type of vehicles that we had.
Yes,
And when
still
I was
had.
a company commander at Fort Leonard Wood, those in 1998, those are the same type of vehicles that we have. And just today, are we actually getting those out of the military system and
Right.
retaking them? So they've been around for upwards of 40 years. So.
Oh, since the 50s. Yeah.
All right. So why do people serve in the military? Okay. I have him calling Connor. Go ahead, bud.
To help the country
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
and
That's a good answer. To help the country, right? To help defend our country and protect our country and keep us free. That's a great answer. Go ahead, bud.
to protect our land from any harm done from an attack.
Yep. That's exactly right. Yep. Go ahead.
So we can keep our country safe and we can go do whatever we want.
Yeah. That's right. Keep us free, for sure. What are some other reasons? Go ahead.
Sometimes it's tradition in the family.
We talked about it, right? It's family tradition. That's awesome. Hey, I'll go chance again.
So people don't take over our world and to make sure that everybody here is free and doesn't have to eat fish on Friday.
Nothing wrong with eating fish on Friday. Go ahead, bud. What do you got? Okay. Yep. Service, right? Good.
So we go slavery.
Yep.
So we can have rights.
So we have what? Right. Yep. To protect our rights. Okay. What else? Go ahead in the back.
To protect those who can't protect themselves.
To protect those who can't protect themselves. So how does he help other people? Okay. I'll go here. Right. Yep. Yep. A lot of those same themes. Go ahead. Those are big. Go ahead.
If we didn't have there would be a lot of child labor. Kids would be waking up in the morning to go get stuff for the family.
Okay. Yep. Because there's a lot of places, all those things that you're saying, right, in terms of protecting our country, rights, and privileges that we enjoy and safety, those are things that aren't enjoyed by a lot of the other people around the world, right? This is a pretty incredible place that we live in, and that we earn that through cost and through sacrifice, not just by soldiers, but soldiers, obviously, and sailors and military contributed to it. And we always have to kind of maintain, the ability to protect ourselves and protect those rights. Go ahead, Rick, in the corner there.
We serve in the military to fight for freedom and our rights.
To fight for freedom and our rights, okay? Go ahead.
To help other people in the people didn't serve in the military, maybe they would go killing over it. So you wouldn't like want them to kill. So that's why.
Well, I don't know that people. It's not necessarily because of keep other people safe, right? But we talk about I talked earlier about the academies, right? I talked about that and how it's college. So why do you think some individuals might want to join the military? How can it benefit the person joining themselves, just themselves? Go ahead.
So that they'll be alive.
So say that again.
So they can spend time with their family.
So we can spend time with our family, right? Yep. Okay. Who hasn't answered yet? Anyone? Okay. Sean, go ahead. What?
So the tradition and so when you go in, you don't have to pay for the college, but you do have to serve 5 years after that.
Mm-hmm.
But in those 5 years, you can meet people that you can be lifelong friends with.
Okay.
And it really is an opportunity to do things and learn things that you've been wanting to build up to your entire life.
Okay. Sean just mentioned something. He talked about the opportunity to meet people that you'll be lifelong friends with, right? Who likes being a part of a team? Right? Is the military a team? So a lot of people join the military because they want to be a part of a team, right? And it's a winning team, and it's a great team. We can always get better, but it's a great team. And so a lot of people join because they want to be a part of a great team and meet people. What else? As my dad showed where he had been, and I showed, the places that I've been stationed. That doesn't even mention all the other places that I've been able to travel to, for short periods of time with the military. Places like Russia and Estonia and Poland and Alaska and a bunch of other places I've got to visit with the military. Who likes to travel? Right? Yeah. How many people have been out of the country before? Raise your hand if you've been out of the country. Yeah. So it's kind of a rare opportunity, right, to be able to go out of the country and experience other cultures. So a lot of people join the military for that too. Okay? I'm going to hit it. We talked about defending our nation, right? Being a leader. Anyone a captain or a lot of people play sports in here, right? Yeah. Do teams typically do well when they have someone who takes charge and can inspire and get the people around them energized to be at the right place at the right time to make the play they need to make? Right? And that takes leadership. And so a lot of times people join the military to develop some leadership and learn how to help and lead others to be successful. We talked about making families and friends, or make family and friends proud, right? One of the reasons why I joined the military, right, is I want to make my family proud. Not only my mom and dad, but one of the reasons I continue to serve and I love what I do is because I want to make my children proud, right? Help other people. A lot of people talked about helping people in need or in danger, okay? Life experiences. My dad talked about when he joined the military, he went to a couple different schools. He learned how to be a mechanic. And that's a skill and a trade that is very useful throughout life. And so the military, whether it be in the Air Force, Army, the Navy, they teach you lifelong skills that you get to carry with you forever and ideally help you get a job later on and be successful and raise a family. Right? We talked about that. Earn money for college. Who wants to go to college? Okay? Right? It costs a lot of money, so you got to do well in school. Right? You got to do well in school and save money. But the military, believe it or not, the military, even if you weren't, I talked about the academies, even if you don't go to one of those academies, if you join the military, you get money for college that you can use whenever you want to. And while you're in the military, they actually pay for you to take classes at night or on weekends. And then if you get out, you have a whole bunch of money you can take with you to go and send yourself to a civilian school to help you get ready for your future. And so it's incredible how much the military does for people going to college. And if we think about the country that we have today, and so much of that was built on what we call the GI Bill, right? With the GI Bill is basically the money that people get after they are in the military to go to college. And after World War II, that essentially sent an entire generation back home with money for college and skills and training that really helped transform our country in the late 1940s and early 1950s. Travel the world. be a part of a great team. And then, as I said, steady pay, good benefits, and it's important. Okay? All right. Some interesting facts about the military. All right? We talked about this. It's Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard. Okay? This is a math question because Sean he does math. Who else does math on the computer at home? Okay, so this is a math question. Do we know our percentages? So about 1 out of 4 people, and this is interesting. Think about this. Only 1 out of 4 people between the ages of 17 and 23 are actually qualified or eligible to serve in the military. And so the question is, what percentage is this? What percentage is 1 out of 4? I don't think I've called on you yet, have I? 25%. Go pay if you want. Pick up something from the table over there. Okay. Okay. The United States military is an all-volunteer force, and less than 1% of the population of the United States has actually served in the military. So when I asked you in the beginning to raise your hand if you have a family member who served in the military, almost everyone did. And that's pretty incredible given this figure, right? Because so few people do today. And so that's important. I think it also speaks of the patriotism and just the values of our community and our area in general, which is, I think, very powerful. And it's one of the reasons why I love Kansas and I love the Midwest. It's because of this right here, and yet the representation that we have. When I say all-volunteer force, what does that mean? Go ahead. Sorry. So volunteer, right? You're not made to do it, right? It's not. You're not forced to do it. But we know in a lot of countries that it's absolutely forced. You have to join the military. And so we talk about freedoms and rights and privileges that we have in the country. You know, one of those is that you don't have to join the military. In many countries, especially the men, do. But our military is all volunteer. You only do it if you want to, and that's important. And we want to maintain that. Okay. 30 of our United States presidents have served in the military, and 24 during a time of war. All right, this is a tough one. There were 2 that reached the rank of what we call a 5-star general. Who were they? Caden? Okay, go ahead and take some. Who was the other one? Let's go in the back. Bryce. No. Back in there. Go ahead, right there, Gracious. Go ahead. No, but there's an interesting fact about him. You answered this question. Who won the Medal of Honor? So go ahead and get yourself something. Okay? Connor. Yes, awesome. And where's he from? Where in Kansas? Yeah, but Connor, go ahead and get something from the table. Great job. Okay. What's that one? No, he was stationed in Leavenworth, Kansas. It was the first place he ever played golf, believe it or not. All right. The President of the United States is the Commander-in-Chief of the military, okay? What? Go ahead.
George Washington?
No, that's not a question. That's okay, but good answer. So he was a commander. He was. But what I say is, I think it's important when we talk about our military is to understand that the military is under the control of elected, that you all, your parents, elect civilian leadership. And that's important because that's also not true around everywhere around the world. So that means that our boss, right, the President of the United States, President Barack Obama, is elected by the citizens of the country. Okay, and so we, as the military, aren't in charge of really anything except ourselves, right? We are not in charge of the government. We don't influence the government. We are completely apolitical. As a person in the military, I cannot go to a political rally. I can't talk about my political beliefs or ideas and represent the United States military. Very separate, and that's important. That's important to keep civilian control of the military. It makes it so we understand who we serve, and more importantly, because that's an elected official, we understand that we serve the American people. And it's so important that we maintain the trust and the confidence of the American people. When I signed up to join the military, I swear allegiance to defend the Constitution of the United States. It's not a person, right? It's a Constitution. It's our values, our beliefs. It's us. Okay? That's important. Okay. The Army was responsible for mapping much of the United States in 1804. Who did this? Go ahead, Aiden. No. Did you have an answer, bud? No? Two people, right? Go ahead. No? Dates are a little off. Go ahead. No? Caden? No. 1804. 1804. So President Jefferson, Jefferson's the president. We have the Louisiana Purchase in 1802. A little bit after that, he sends a couple of Army dudes out west with a team of about 30. Go ahead, bud. Lewis and Clark. Go ahead, right there. Do you know that within about 15 miles of here, they camped, right? They camped along the Missouri River about 15 miles from here. All right. We talked about this a little bit. You know that in the military, we support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. And how do I get paid? Do I get paid? No. Yeah. And how is that? Who pays for that? Go ahead. Not the governor. Not the president. But go ahead, buddy. Go ahead. People that pay taxes, right? And so the reason I say that, it gets back to who do we work for and the trust, how important it is for our military, the United States military, to gain and maintain the trust and confidence of the people of the United States of America. So that you work hard, people work hard to pay taxes to the government, right? Sometimes where does that go for? Why do we do that? And if we don't do our job right, we'll lose the trust and confidence of the American people. And we can never afford to do that, okay? And so it's just important to understand how connected the military is to the people that we serve. The Department of Defense employs, everyone knows that word means employs, right? There's 1.8 million people that work for the Department of Defense. It's the largest employer in the country, okay? And we said, where is the headquarters at? Go ahead, Bryce. All right, sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Nope. The Pentagon in Washington, D.C., okay? And that building has the largest amount of office space of any office building, I think it's in the world, definitely the country. But it's only 5 stories high. It's just huge, okay? And there's actually about 30,000 people that work in that building on any given day. Okay. And I put this on there kind of as a little bit of a joke, but it's really not a joke, and it's important to understand this, that the United States military is the only profession where you can join as a private. And when I say private, it's like the first rank it's a junior enlisted soldier. It's the first rank that you join when you join the Army, okay? And if you were to join, the Air Force would be an airman. The Marines are also private. But you can go from that and leave as a brain surgeon or as a 4-star general or a 5-star general. And it has actually happened. And that's incredible. And the reason is because I would argue that the military, it's an equal opportunity employer. It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter, what your race, your religion, your ethnic background. It doesn't matter. The idea is that everyone has the same opportunity to achieve success and to be what you want to be. And I think that's pretty incredible. And just like every organization, we can get better in regards to that, but we work real hard to do it. And I think every day we get a little bit better. And this is definitely, I think a testament to that, where it doesn't matter, where you come in at. It's a matter of how hard you're willing to work, and what your capabilities are will determine what you become. And I think that's powerful. Okay. All right. A little bit of trivia as we wrap it up. Which branch of service is the oldest? All right. Go ahead, right there, Jessica. Maybe. Nope. Go ahead, right here. No? Go ahead. Yeah. No. Only one left. Right here. Army. Okay, go ahead. You guys made it easy for her, right?
I knew it.
Okay. Here's one. Which branch of service used to be a part of the Army? Let's see if I see any hands that haven't been up yet. In the back right there. No? Go ahead, bud. Yeah. Yes. Go ahead. Get something from up top there. Go ahead and get something from up top.
Because it wasn't established, the Air Force wasn't
Yep, it was after World War II. It's called the Army Air Corps, as Graham said, Army Air Corps. And then it became the United States Air Force. All right. Name any year in which World War I took place. Okay, so World War I, roughly speaking, about 4 years. Name one of those years. Go ahead. I haven't called them yet. You're like me. When I was your age, I raised my hand and I don't know what I'm going to ask yet, but that's okay. I did the same thing. It's good. It's okay. You want to guess? Just guess. A year. Go ahead, bud. No. Aiden. No. Sean, what do you think?
1917.
That's right.
Ah.
Okay. Okay. Someone you don't need an. Okay. Name any year World War II took place. The hearts on the sweat. I'm sorry. Is it Jillian? Okay. Go ahead, Jillian. No. Royals. Yes. Good. This is important. What do we when we celebrate or remember Memorial Day? What are we actually remembering? Luke in the back. Okay. Close. Yes, and it's not and I know what you mean. So it's all the people who served in the military, who gave their life, who paid the ultimate price, who gave their life in service to our country, and that's what we remember on Memorial Day. Okay, so Luke, please grab something. A little bit different than Veterans Day, right? What are we remembering and celebrating on Veterans Day? Connor, I don't think I've called on yet, have I? Have I? Okay, right behind you. I haven't called on her. Okay, so but is it the veterans who served in wars? You can get something over here too, but a little bit different. Not just veterans who served in wars, because lots of people serve in the military. And a lot of that is just timing that they serve. Go ahead, Bun.
People who served in the war that have done stuff for many people.
Okay, go ahead. You can get 10. It's very close. Yep. So it's not just again, and really you were right on it. It's anyone who served in the military. Okay, and that's what Veterans Day. So Memorial Day and Veterans Day are a little bit different. In what we remember, what we celebrate. What do you do and this is just quickly. What do you when you're at a parade or a ceremony and the national flag passes by? What should you do? Go ahead, Chase. I'm sorry, Camden. What do you do?
Stop talking.
Yeah. Yeah. Stand up, put your hand over your heart. Right. Okay, that's important. And the last question I want to add, or what I want to end on is, the United States military. It's one way that we serve. But what are some other professions that allow us to serve? And I say this because I saw that you saw the tradition in our family. And one of the things I've told Luke, my children, and I tell Sean all the time is, hey, the military is just one way to serve, and there's so many other ways. It's important to serve. What are some other ways? Go ahead, right here. Yeah, but what are some professions, like some things you can do? What jobs out there that allow you to serve outside of the military, but still allow you to serve and help others? Go ahead, Aiden. Okay, volunteer. You can volunteer in certain capacities. Go ahead. Okay, other than the military. Go ahead. Doctor. Police, right? Serving your community. And in some states, the state. Go ahead. Fireman, absolutely. Paramedic. Teaching, right? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'll just, and you've heard of General McChrystal. He was the commander of forces in Iraq or in Afghanistan a couple of years ago, and he wrote an article. And at the end of the article, he says, our country will have gotten to the right place, not when soldiers are walking through the airport and people come up and say thank you for the service, but when teachers are walking through the airport and someone comes up to them and says thank you for your service, right? Because you are all our future, and our teachers are the ones who develop and really are investing every day their lives into our nation's future. And so thank you for all of your service. What else? What are some other ways we serve? Scientists, absolutely. Good. Go ahead, right here.
Helping like cities or states that are more poor.
Yeah. Okay. And we can go on for days, right? We know there's a lot of different ways to serve, and I think the one message I want to send is it doesn't matter how you choose to serve, but we all kind of have to serve, and we have to give back. And every day we got to kind of do our part to make the world a little bit better, you know, just with the people around you. And I'd argue that as being a parent, you're serving, right? And you're helping to develop, you know, your children for the future. So just think about that as you think about what you want to do and how you want to do it. Think about the impact that it has in making things a little bit better, a little bit safer. Go ahead. Last thing.
I think, like, my dad has regard for federal buildings. Does that count?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. Go ahead. Okay. All right. Well, again, go ahead. Engineer. Designing things to help, you know, make the world better and safer and all those things. Okay. So I went a little bit over. I apologize. But again, thank you so much for allowing us to come in. Hopefully we learned a little bit something. I know I enjoyed it. Dad, anything else?
No, I agree with everything went well, and I think you learned a lot.
Okay.
Or at least I hope you did.
All right.
And what do we always say to our veterans?
Thank you.